Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is Go Again, a fabulous video cast covering the trading card game Flesh and Blood. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hey folks, welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. Today I'm covering Boltyn Raydn Charges 2.0. That's right, 2.0. The reason I'm calling it 2.0 instead of like 1.1, 1.4 is because there have been some more significant changes than, just a couple cards, just kind of in the way that I've played it. There's, Beacon of Victory. We talked about that a couple weeks ago and how that was kind of a sleeper card for me. Plus, as kind of things have evolved, the meta's changed a little bit. People learned how to play into Boltyn, like sometimes you just don't block him. The attack reactions have kind of become more important. So what I want to do today, I want to go through we'll sit here, we'll go through kind of the major cards, and then I'm actually going to go onto the table and we'll actually run through my deck in person. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. So what I want to do real quick, I want to run through some of the more fundamental major changes that really made this a 2.0 versus just some other rev. And then, like I said, we'll head over to the table. So one of the big things I have to own here is Lumina Ascension went in. I originally thought that it wasn't for a Raydn build, and I've seen the light, right? No pun intended with Boltyn. So Lumina, and it's funny because in the 1.0 version of this build, I was actually running Red Duskpath, which was to, the whole point was to swing again. And I don't know why, for some reason, it didn't register in my head that Lumina would work, right? So, again, I own that. It's in there now. It's been pretty great for setup turn. It's still, it's funny, you still end up putting it in Arsenal a lot of the time and then trying to, pull it off with a Take Flight or something like that. Do remember it doesn't work with Via the Vanguard, that breaks the chain, right? But so you want to take Flight, or you can Engulfing and then Beacon of Victory. You can actually pull it. A lot of good stuff going on there. So I don't think I need to spend too much time explaining Lumina Ascension, right? You obviously want to make sure you've charged. That means Raydn's a 4 and can go twice. Plus you get potentially you get the Lumina bonus thing and you get one more health. Some of the other Beacon of Victory, I was in one of the later revs. We did talk about that. But kind of to that end, I've also added 2 copies of yellow Courageous Steelhand, and I've also added 2 copies of Razor Reflex, yellow as well. So Razor Reflex is really for the action cards. And I mean, Courageous Steelhand is 2 for the charging. But what these do is they help you basically get, it's not about getting over the top like we would normally use in attack reaction. It's about getting a buff so you can give it Go Again, right? Razor Reflex obviously gives the action the Go Again by what it does. Steel Hand just gives a +2. I do have to say there's been a couple times playing this deck where I've just drawn bad and you get a whole bunch of the attack reacts because we have 6 in here, right? That's a lot. So if you personally see that running, if you run into that problem, you could consider dialing back on that yourself. It's what I like to run right now, again, because most of them are yellow. Like that's why I've skewed towards the yellows, is because they always, in most cases in this deck, you have pay for one, you have like a Take Flight and a Battlefield. You really only need 2 resources. So the yellows are, you'll notice again in this 2.0 that the population of the yellow pitch is significantly larger. Another card that's gone in, this may have been in a previous rev, but Soul Shield's really, really, really strong in here. I just have 1 copy of that. I also just have 1 copy of the Cataclysm as well. And then the other big change, which was just I don't know why I didn't think about this, right? I was playing around with Valiant Dynamo, and I was playing around with, the normal bolters just for the Go Again, which you can use then on Raydn, but sometimes it just makes more sense to run the Snapdragon Scalers. So, that's in there. I don't know why I wasn't running it before, but it makes complete sense. So that's been added. So those are pretty much the big changes, but there's a fundamental play style shift in, right, really moving into using the attack reaction, trying to get over the top. Sometimes it does require you to take an on-off turn, especially like I mentioned for Lumina. So anyway, let's run through the deck kind of one by one. We'll talk through all the different cards, and then we'll get out of here. Hey folks, all right, so let's get into the deck itself. Obviously, Boltyn and Raydn are pretty straightforward there. That's kind of the whole gist of it. We do, of course, have the Skull Cap. The equipment's pretty straightforward too. Skull Cap we're playing. I mean, there's no reason not to. As far as the bracers go, it's great. You don't really need like Gallantry Gold or anything here because you're not doing the better weapon attack. So Brave Forge is clearly the right play. I am playing Courage of Blade Hold for the chest piece. So I don't own a Tunic, and I don't actually know that I would play Tunic anyway. I mean, the thing here is Courage is worthless for its ability in terms of Raydn because it doesn't matter, but it defends for 2 and it defends for 1. So I mean, it's really just a defense play there. So and I don't think that's a bad thing. As far as the feat, we have both the Bolters and the Scalers. You can play either, depending on the matchup. You may just want the extra because what you can do on like a Lumina or something is you could just after you defend, this is worthless anyway, so you could just pop it and you don't have to drop the card from Soul. This one though is really useful for like your 0-3s, your 0-4s, where you can charge and then just give them go again, and then you can come again with Raydn. So that's why that one is in there. So again, equipment pretty straightforward. What I haven't shown here is the null rune stuff, which obviously you run as like basically a sideboard. All right, so going into the cards, the keys to the deck are via the Vanguard, and then 6 copies of Take Flight. I don't think I really need to explain these guys. Just remember that this one says +1 on this combat chain, right? So if you do that and then you Lumina, you do not get the bonus. But Take Flight will always have go again as long as you've charged. Take Flight's such a fundamental card in this deck, but those guys really are grouped together as these are your facilitator cards without a doubt. As far as kind of your hitters, we have Battlefield Blitz and Valiant Thrust. So reds for that, yellow for Blitz, and then 2 blues for Valiant Thrust. We don't really need 3 pitch very often in here, but it's one of those like why the heck not include it type of dealies, because Valiant Thrust, it gets the same bonus no matter what, right? So there's really no reason not to play it, in my opinion, at least from where I stand on it. So you're doing 1 not to get to yellow, but really why the heck not, right? So that's kind of where I stand on that. All right, what we're going to go into here, we're going to go into the cards that really facilitate kind of the rest of the meat of the deck. Well, actually, I will skip over Bolting Blade, but let's go ahead and look at these guys here. These are your non-positive charge cards, right? And what I mean by that is they don't really give you anything by charging, but they do allow you to charge. So then you have to, this is really where your attack reacts come in to try and take advantage of that. Now, yellow across the line, I wanted to speak specifically to this one. This is another one that lets you charge. This one, you want to play, the red hits 1 for 5, this one hits 1 for 4. Remember, it's the magic number of Fab. So I think the yellow is really just the way to go here. It gives you the additional pitch that you need for your deck, and it does everything you want it to do already. So, and a lot of times they'll, right, that 1 for 4 is, you have to pay for it, but it's something they want to try and block. I also have Illuminate, that's a 0 for 4. Now, if this one hits it, go in your soul. A lot of times, again, people won't block Boltyn, especially early game, they won't block him because they don't want to give him the plus for the go again. So Illuminate, right, you can, if you only have 1 card in hand, just throw it out there. You either suck up cards or you don't, and then it goes into your soul, which is something you can, of course, use to your advantage. All right, so now we're into tech space. So let's go ahead and talk both of these guys. Bolting Blade is just amazing. Like, it's just, the basic combo obviously is V into Bolting Blade, right? With a full hand, you can, for 1 pitch, get this out, and then that would be the advantage of having Tunic in this deck, right? Which we spoke to before, is you could wait for a 3 Tunic turn. Then you would only need like a 3-card hand with potentially an arsenal, or you'd only need a 4-card hand in order to do this, pay the 1 from the Tunic, and then bolt. And that's just, right, if you double charge on this swings for 5, you can give it automatic go again with Boltyn because you've charged, and then this one swings for 9. And then guess what? Raydn comes after that because this one's buffed. So that's I mean, your fundamental nuts and bolts combo. And then Lumina Ascension, of course, is a new add for this rev of the 2.0 rev. We already talked about that a bit, but it's really good. It's really good with Raydn because it gives it the, you're obviously going to try and charge with it with like a take flight or something like that. Again, you don't want to use necessarily V with that. I suppose you could in a pinch, but it won't give you the buff. But you want to take flight into Lumina, into Duskbane. And this again would be another reason to have, that one floating that you would need for that really big turn would be pretty advantageous on a Tunic, right? So as actually I'm talking about maybe I'm talking myself into the fact that I would need a Tunic, but I don't have one, so we'll play the Courage. And I think Courage is just fine for you. All right, let's go ahead and get into the attack reacts and the defend reacts here, right? So we have 2 Beacon of Victories. This card, I mean, I made a whole episode on it, sleeper card, right? So this thing can go and it can pull, right? If you've charged, you pull one out, you can go search your deck for an action card, you can pull this, right? So you can give, right? You can give something boring like Illuminate, or actually let's do like a Bolt of Courage, right? Your Bolt of Courage, which is your card that lets you charge, that's actually what you want to do. It's one of your charge facilitators. You can Beacon of Victory it, Lumina, and then swing, right? It's just fantastic because you can actually go tutor this, right? Or tutor the other piece you need, or you can just go pull a piece that'll help you get actually at that point you wouldn't need resources, but remember you can use Beacon of Victory to go tutor something that you can then eventually pitch. Beacon of Victory is an absolutely phenomenal and key card to this deck. Just does so much work. And then I am playing 1 copy of Steel Hand and 2 copies of Razor Reflex. Razor Reflex is more so for the actions in this deck and not as much the sword, but you can certainly use it. And then I'm playing Courageous Steel Hand again. That's not so much for the going over the top, although it certainly can, but it's more so for giving the bonus so that you have Boltyn's ability on. Okay, so I don't think too much more needs said on the attack reacts there. And then last we have our defend reacts with one exception here. So we have Sink Below, and then we have a blue Shunt. This is what I put in actually several hours before I made this based on what I saw. I was reminded of how good this card was at the skirmish this last weekend. Just, if somebody goes down to 1 against Warrior and they're swinging with a weapon, they can't do that, right? So you hold that, it's the blue pitch, it's exactly what we need with the 2 sinks to help us kind of cycle a little bit. All right, and then the last 2 cards, these are both they're kind of tech slots, but the Soul Shield is really good. At 6, it goes into your soul, and Celestial Cataclysm. So this one, remember, is a cost. You do have to banish 3 cards. So the reason I added this one I think on like version 1.1. We found that we were, over the course of the game, getting additional cards in the soul that we basically had nothing to do with. And you know what? That solves the problem. So we have 1 Cataclysm. You're obviously pitching it early. You may or may not use it over the course of the game, but honestly, if you're not in a position where you're using Cataclysm, then things are probably going well for you. So you might not need it. And then it's there to hopefully bail you out on a bad turn later on. So yeah, that is it for the Raydn Boltyn build. 2.0, we're swinging and charging and all that. So anyway, folks, that's the deck in of itself. Thanks for joining me. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking, if you had a chance to run this. But anyway, thanks for joining me today. And if nothing else, go Commando.